Last August, MSF announced that a one-person household on the ComCare Long-Term Assistance, or LTA scheme, will receive cash assistance of $640 per month, or an increase of 6.25% from the previous cash amount of $600 per month. The qualifying criteria for short-term financial assistance remains at household income of not more than $1,900 per month, or per capita income of not more than $650 per month. There is no adjustment to the qualifying criteria, despite a high inflation rate over the last 2 years. We understand that MSF has allocated about $601 million in its 2023 budget to administer long-term and short-term financial assistance to vulnerable Singaporeans, but the question is whether this amount is sufficient. To have a better comparison, we can look at how other advanced countries are providing cash benefits to assist vulnerable families. And OECD countries spend about an average of 7% of their GDP on cash benefits. As Singapore is not a welfare state, it may not be fair to compare us with most of the OECD countries. Perhaps we can look at closer to home, such as South Korea. South Korea spend about 3% of their GDP on public social expenditures in cash benefit. And how is it compared to Singapore? MSF will be spending $601 million on long-term and short-term financial assistance, including the manpower costs to administer the ComCare assistance. This represents about 0.6% of the Singapore 2023 budget, or only 0.1% of Singapore GDP. 0.1% of GDP appears small compared to the 3% GDP Korea spent on cash benefits for public social expenditure. I am not advocating that we have to increase the ComCare expenditure by 30 times to match Korea. However, it is important that our support for low-income families keep pace with inflation. Singaporeans have been very much affected by the 14-year high inflation rate. We feel it every day as we buy our food, coffee, our grocery, and pay our bills. According to that August 2022 study last year, it is low-income households earning less than $2,500 a month, which are the hardest hit as they spend almost all their income every month. Given the high inflation rate for the past 2 years and expected slow economic growth this year, there is scope to help families cope by easing the qualifying criteria for help schemes across the board. For example, the qualifying criteria for ComCare short-term assistance can be revised by 10%, so that applicants with per capita monthly household income of not more than $715 can qualify. Likewise, HDB rental flat qualifying criteria can also be eased by 10%, so that applicants with less than $1,650 monthly income can apply. DPN Lawrence Wong has indicated that it's almost at certainty that inflation will be higher and longer. That is, high inflation will be the norm for quite some time. To better help the lower income families, I would like to suggest that all the government subsidies or all the government assistance scheme could incorporate an inflation component, so that both the qualifying criteria and the quantum of assistance rendered could be adjusted annually in tandem with inflation. Mr. Speaker, sir, low-income families receiving financial assistance are living in much uncertainty, as described by Ms. Cindy Ng in her article in the Straits Times last Saturday. We do not want inflation to add another layer of uncertainty for the lower-income families. Thank you.